What's up, gang? Welcome to the Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius Mirshahzadeh. I'm so pumped to have you here with me. Now, listen, the Greatness Machine, we're about two things. Number one, people who are living their passions. And number two, those who are creating greatness in the world and doing both of these things despite the odds against them. Each episode, we're going to feature interviews with game changers, business leaders, telling us their origin stories, what made them tick, what got them to where they are now. Why? So it can help you step into your greatness within your life, your business, and your career. Occasionally, you might hear a few solo episodes from myself, moi, as I say, as I leverage my 20 years of entrepreneurship as a CEO and founder to help you grow and level up in your journey to scale your life and your business. So, come be a fly on the wall, enjoy the conversation, and I'm stoked to have you here with me. Guys, welcome to this episode of The Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius Mirshahzadeh, and boy, do we have a special guest. My man, the time piercer himself, Jesse Elder, is in the house. What's up, dude?
It always sounds weird hearing other people intro you. Do you feel that?
I'm a fucking glutton, man. Like I love.
Are you?
I love hearing. Dude, so guys, before the show started, we were talking about how little fucks we give about being famous. What I didn't tell Jesse is like, I know I could be famous and fucking own it. And I wouldn't change who I am. I would be just, like when you ever see Dwayne Johnson, when he's like in the public, you're like, that dude's really like that in real life, like probably with everybody. At least that's the persona I picked off with him.
Well, you got star energy. And so like celebrity would fit that. And a lot of people don't. And then they get the attention of the star power, but they don't have the capacity to hold the star power. And then they become, completely addicted to drugs. And then they start attending weird Hollywood sex cult parties. But I'm not saying you wouldn't do those things. I'm just saying it wouldn't.
If I was to do them, I would do them coming from a place of love.
Yeah. Just shamelessly. You're like, oh, another Tuesday. Here we go.
I'm like, Puff Daddy, kind of, it's getting a little weird in here. I'm gonna bounce. Like you guys need to deal with your parts therapy shit and not do this. But that some of the people here have been nice people to meet. I'm like, is it too soon? I have an interesting Puff Daddy story. Do you want to hear it? And we
of course.
I'm at Thanksgiving dinner the other night, and my I swear to God I did this. My sister. So sorry, my mom's best friend is this woman, and I'm not gonna say her name, who has a daughter, and her daughter wanted to be a TV reporter since she was like a kid. Single mom, raised the kid, she's basically like kind of my sister, like we're like brother sister vibe, and raises my mom's, raises my, like, call her my pseudo sister, and she gives her everything she needs, like, and gets her hooked up in LA with like the Fox TV down there. With the reporter, she interns for them in high school, goes to Mizzou. They have the Columbia School of Communication. They have their own TV station there. She goes to Atlanta, becomes a reporter. She's now at like NBC New York, and she's a reporter there. Mm. And she's that's which if you're not on like CNN or Fox News or something, like that's the highest level you can be for local television, right? And so she's a reporter there, and she's on the scene for the entire Puff Daddy trial. On the scene.
Shit, she's there.
So she was the reporter for NBC New York City News, right? And I'm seeing all this shit on like social. She's posting everyday updates on the trial. And so I see her. I haven't seen her. She's like my sister, man. Like she was my sister's best friend. Like my brother and I would grab their hands and make them punch each other, and then we'd let go and they'd fight. So like anyone who heard that knows what type of relationship that is, right? And I watched her grow up, and she's like a sister to me. And so I'm gonna call her E. I'm like, E. I'm like, so were you? I'm like, I saw that you were at the Puff Daddy trial. She's like, I'm like, I gotta admit, I was kind of annoyed. They were like, they censored all, like everything. They didn't. There's so like you don't really know. You just know he was fucked up. You don't know what he did. And I'm like, she's like, Darius, it was just disgusting. Like it was the most disgusting, depraved shit your ears could listen to. Now, I'm going to take 3 steps back. When I was 18 years old, when I was 16 years old, there was this thing called the UFC. that just came out in 1992, 93, 94, somewhere around there. And I was like, me and my buddies were like 14, 15, and we're like, dude, I want to watch guys beat the fuck out of each other, right? Like, and they're like, this is a cage match. Back then, by the way, there was a movie called Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And I was like, dude, this is shit I grew up on. I'm like, I'm going to watch you guys fucking fight. Like, and I'm a kid in school where I can't wait till people fight. Right. There was also a movie. And by the way, like, this is all on pay-per-view. There was this other thing on pay-per-view called Faces of Death. Do you remember this?
I remember, yes.
That would show people being killed. Now, the average listener is like,
this is before the dark web.
This is before the internet. Like, you couldn't see any of this shit, right? So me and my friends would watch all this stuff because we were fucked up teenagers. So fast forward to Thanksgiving last week. Of course, I'm like, dude, I'm so annoyed they didn't say what really happened. I'm just curious what this guy did. And she's like, well, if you want my notes, I'll send them to you. And I'm like, would you? And she's like, you know, Darius, the sad thing is I know you're being honest and you actually want to see them. And I'm like, and the sad thing is you're right.
You're like, I have one more thing to be grateful for this Thanksgiving.
Yes, no. Like, so for whatever historian, whatever asshole in the media digs up this episode when I'm doing something important in the future and says, I wish I went to a P. Diddy party, that was a joke. Kinda.
This is for educational and entertainment purposes only.
I'm probably editing out both those parts of the show. But
I love it. It's pure ad from where I am.
Oh, dude, how are you doing, man?
Wow. Man, I'm good. I'm in a season of just there's like two speeds, you know, it's like Mach 9 and just comatose. And so I've just been enjoying both ends of the spectrum. The Mach 9 part, man, this vision has just been coming through. And for, 12 years, well, since I mean, you mentioned UFC, I used to be a fighter when I was like 19, 20, 21 years old. It was right when UFC came out. And I was one of the guys that got to learn jiu-jitsu before UFC. So like one of my coaches was training with Hoyce and Horia, and he was going to California and learning from them, and he'd come back and teach me. So in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, and I was the guy. So I fought all these bar fights, won 9, lost 2, and they were just like UFC: no rules, no time limit, no safety equipment, like tap, snap, or nap. Like that was how you won. And then I ended up opening a school, a much more family-friendly school, and did that for years. But when I sold everything in 2012, and I was literally just starting over again, I was like, man, all right, what's this going to be? And for the last 12 years, it's been such an experience of like philosophical performance art. Literally just go through my day, serving clients, serving teams that they're working with, serving through programs and coaching and teaching. And, that's been awesome. The whole time traveling like crazy, 53 countries. If I got a passport, cell phone, credit card, I can run my life. Like, oh, I forgot my bag. Who cares? Let's go. And it was that kind of like aggressive freedom. And my dad died in August. And that was such a beautiful, powerful, it wasn't the things that you think it's going to be, because we had got a lot of that done before he actually died. And so it was just beautiful to be there with him. It was like a birth. So since then, I've just been still and I've just been listening and, going out to my property in Bastrop and just taking long drives through the Texas Hill Country and just silence and listening. And this vision just started fucking punching its way through about 2 months ago. And it's like, go on tour. You're going on tour. And I was like, okay. And then it's like, not only that, you're going to do a reality TV show that's going to track this tour. And then you're going to have all these people subscribing to watch this show. And then from within that, this whole something else is going to happen. You don't need to know what it is. And I call that cosmic Google, which offends some of my very religious friends. But to me, that's the most accurate interface that I have. I honestly honestly think it's all us experiencing different parts of us. But that's been the vision, bro. It's been absolutely crazy.
So it's interesting. I saw you posted that specifically that you were going on tour. First of all, guys, I want to say this about like this is going to be a part one, part two. Because we had some technical issues early on, and I was like, dude, and Jesse's like, I can run, and I'm like, no, fuck that, I got to go buy a Christmas tree, and I'm like, and I already know we're gonna go long because I don't think you and I can go short with one another,
Mm,
um,
mm.
and so I was like, no, we're doing part one, part two, so this is gonna be part one, part two. And we'll just see where the show goes. Do you mind if I give a little background on like how I've gotten to know you because I think that that's
Yeah,
relevant for the audience.
yeah, yeah.
So you're interesting. There's probably a couple other people in my life that are like this, where I get to know them as a person secondarily, and first they're just like this enigma that I'm like,
Mm.
I wasn't even like, I don't know if I was like following your content. It was the thing where like we ended up kind of in this similar circles we were talking about before the show, where Nick Peterson, who you're friends with, and Dr. Jeff Spencer, who was my coach and you're friends with, and you were doing stuff on Clubhouse. But even before then, I'd heard your name. People had been like, "Oh, do you know Jesse Elder?" And I'm like,
Mm.
and I don't know anybody. And we were talking even more about the show about it. I don't know any. I'm like a guy that's like anti who somebody is, unless
Right,
like unless it's like, do you know Arnold Schwarzenegger? I'm like, yeah, he was like my hero when I was 9.
right,
But besides
right.
that, like I really don't know people. Have you ever hung out with someone that starts name dropping and you're like, I have no idea anyone you're talking about? Does that ever happen to you?
Yeah,
But they're
yeah.
saying it with such pride.
It's like going up to some dude who's overly proud of his Ferrari, and you could tell it's his first nice car, but he's being a dick about it. And you go up and you're like, bro, that Maserati is lit. And he's like, "Yeah, it's a Ferrari."
It's a Ferrari.
And that's how super name droppers are. There are
I,
people who do it well. Joe Polish does it well because he owns the fact that he's being cheesy,
oh,
and
okay.
he legit knows people, and he's a legit good dude from everything that I've seen of him, and he really cares. So there's ways to do it, but if somebody's doing that to replace some sense of sufficiency within themselves, it's like, oh, dude, bad look.
Yeah, so before the show started, I don't even know how it came up. We were talking about being famous or something like that. Oh, we were talking about a mutual friend of ours, and fame was part of that conversation. And Jesse and I share the common trait of giving negative fucks on people's fame. And I heard something. I was having lunch with a person yesterday whose name shall remain nameless, and he was talking about a semi-famous person here in Austin, and that he asked this person to do him a favor. And she said, well, to make an introduction for him. And he said, and she said to him, I have a rule where I don't make introductions to people unless they're more famous than one another. And he had done a ton of favors for this person. And
Hmm.
that was her response. And I puked my lunch out all over our table. When he said that, I was like, I'm like, wait, fame is a currency to be traded? Like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like weird, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think it's in its dying days. Celebrity as fame, celebrity alone as fame, and I think we're seeing the tail end or we're at the middle of the end of the collapse of influencer culture because for the most part they're completely fake, um, and people that don't know they're fake have the worst of it because they're going to be the most disappointed when these people completely melt down. There's people that think pro wrestling is real. When I was a kid for like 2 weeks, I thought it was real. And then I was
Me
like,
too.
wait, oh, it's staged. So when people realize that these influencers have been like the WWE of humanity, except
Mm.
AI is way better at being fake than humans are. So AI is just going to completely run circles around them. They are going to be completely melted down, collapsed. It's going to be a shit show. So I think we're at the end of that. So this obsession with social currency of fame eventually, and it's not going to happen too long from now, people are going to stop confusing status symbols with actual status. It's
Mm.
like the Ferrari, the Rolex, the Bugatti, the house in the Hamptons, whatever. Although Hamptons kind of cool, but all see that name dropping I did there just now. You
But
see that?
but you know what I was going to say though? Houses in certain places, houses are way different than
There's a
Rolex.
vibe. There's a vibe. But
You
I
know?
think if you're going just because everybody's going, you're stupid.
Oh yeah,
But
you
if you're
suck.
going because you just enjoy it, that's cool. But let's take all these other status symbols. You can buy a status symbol, and most people will look at that and go, wow, you must have done all the things that it would take to
Mm,
become the kind of human being for whom that's normal. But what about how come there are no such thing as character symbols?
mm.
There's just character. We don't have value symbols. I mean, we could have like religious symbols, but that doesn't mean anything. But I think my point is we're gonna see the total collapse of status symbols alone, except to those of legitimate lower status. Those with
Mm.
a highest status are going to become, like you said, like through the floor of giving a fuck about status symbols. And it's like the person who's name dropping, name dropping, name dropping, it's like you almost feel bad for them because you
Hmm.
can see the void that they're trying to fill. It's like, oh, come on, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, I feel that way. Yeah, I feel that way numerous times when I see somebody like, if I see a really old dude in a really low Ferrari, listen, like I love Ferraris. I fucking love them. Because,
There's
dude,
a lot to love.
dude, they're so. By the way, for the people that don't know this, the Ferrari is designed after a woman's body. Like that's
Oh yeah.
literally like the design of the fucking Ferrari. Well, I'm like, and I love who doesn't. Well, I don't love. I love that. Sorry, my wife's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, I love her body. Um, but no, look, a woman's body is like a piece of art, right? It's beautiful, and so that's what the Ferrari is designed after. But I've also sat in a Lamborghini, not mine. I've never owned one. I might actually would consider owning a Ferrari because I do think they're beautiful.
Hmm.
But if you ever sat in a fucking Ferrari, it's like sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
and dude,
Your
like,
ass is like 8 inches off on asphalt.
yeah, and I think with a Lambo, it might be like 4 or 6. I mean, you're
Yeah.
literally, and I sat in a Lambo once and I was like, why the fuck would anyone ever sit in this car? Like,
Yeah.
I could barely get in and get out of the car. So it was funny that we were by right near where you and I had coffee off Lamar at, oh shit, the fucking Taco Deli. And,
Mm.
and I see a dude that's probably in his like late 60s just getting into like the lowest Ferrari. And I was like, poor guy. I swear to God.
I admire his fitness though, man. That's a lot, for anybody, but especially, you're 60 and you can still do the Ferrari yoga lift, it's like, wow, good job.
So here's the part that I didn't say, dude. He was struggling,
Oh,
struggle bus,
no,
dude, struggle bus.
no,
I was like, bro,
no.
can't you just get a Rolls Royce? Like they're way
Right,
easier to get into and out of, and they're fucking
right,
sick.
right, right.
So, but it's
No,
funny though.
it's the thing is though, this is going to sound so awful. The less educated honeys like the Ferraris, the more educated honeys like the Rolls, and maybe he likes dumb bitches.
I know, but that's who likes. I guess everyone has the character traits they like.
Everybody's got their thing, man.
Yeah,
Everybody's got their thing.
I need substance, man,
Well,
especially
yeah, I
with
mean, you got to
you
be turned on intellectually, emotionally, physically. They're all combined. And anybody who cherry picks and is like, I'm only going to have this, and I'm just going to deal with, I'm going to get my needs met other ways. It's like, well, do you want that as a partner, or do you want to be transactional? Like whatever. And no judgment, man. I've been on fucking every phase myself. So
It's
this-
funny, like I'm a married guy, right? I've been married for 18 years, and been with my wife
yeah,
for 23, and I'll tell you what, like it takes a lot, and I'm a person that's like likes to go fucking deep and wants to be
hmm,
stimulated. So for me, I had to pick someone that was fucking smart, beautiful, fucking down for fucking
yes,
a lot of hard shit, And
yeah,
I think I did a pretty good job.
yeah,
Kudos to her for fucking dealing with me. I'm a fucking maniac. Have you been married? You've been married, right?
yeah, yeah. That was my first relationship actually when I was 27.
No way, man. How long were you married for?
We were together for 12 years. I'm married for 10.
Wow. And I knew you were. I just wanted to double
Yeah.
check that. So I'm going to digress and go back to the tour thing. So I saw that you posted.
Mm.
This is the nature of this show, by the way. Like, listen to the shit we're talking about.
Squirrel.
Ferraris, dumbasses. Were you married? So what? Tell me about the tour. I saw it, and I'm not gonna lie. I had three thoughts. Can I tell you what my three thoughts were?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
First of all, like for anyone that's not following your content, like your content's interesting because and Nick Peterson does a version of it too, which is how I got introduced to your content was through him. Um, it's like almost like I think it's what a philosopher like a couple hundred years ago, just like writing to themselves about their thoughts, like kind of putting their thoughts out there in like a real way, right? To like work through your thoughts and then to make a point, right? This is how I read your
Hmm.
content.
Mm.
And it's like so I do see you as a bit of a philosopher and I like to write too. So and for me a lot of times I'm figuring my shit out when I write. So when I see I was always like, huh. I swear to God I thought this. I'm like, and I don't know Jesse when I'm thinking this. I'm like, he doesn't seem to give a fuck. It was, I swear to God, it was my fucking initial read. I'm like, he seems to think a lot, but he also doesn't seem to give a fuck about what you think, right? And for me, that's like you're like speaking my love language. I was like,
Hmm.
oh, that's a human being I could probably get along with, because
Mm.
I don't I don't as long as you've been very introspective about what you're not giving a fuck about, like, and but you've
Mm.
came to that resolution that like I'm not going to give a fuck about this because I thought about it a lot and I'm good with where I'm at, right? And this is me like I'm told maybe
Mm.
I'm projecting on you, but that was my read on your content. So, A, how does that resonate for you when I say that?
Um, Yeah, well, there's a lot there. I would say it's accurate. I would also say it hasn't always been that way in my experience.
Sure.
And I think for you to see that as a mirror of what's going on for you as a result of the work that you've done to arrive at that place yourself. I don't know anybody who's mentally healthy and honest with himself who will say, "I've always been this way. I've never cared what people think." It's like, no, at some point you cared so much about what people thought and didn't get it that you swung the pendulum the other way, and now you just skipped the work in the middle, and now it's fuck everybody, and I'm my own person and whatever. It's like, what about that gooey middle part of pulling the threads of, well, who do I care about? Whose opinion do I care about? And what's my qualification process for caring about their opinion? And what is it that I do to know, is that a qualified opinion that I should listen to versus an unqualified opinion that's meaningless to me? What does somebody have to do in order to become qualified? And what do they have to do to become disqualified? And that's a real time fucking conversation that has to be happening all the time, like refreshing the browser on your reality. And otherwise, you just become a dumbass. And next thing you know, you're driving a Ferrari and you're 60
For
and you can't get out.
well, you said something a moment ago, like who do you qualify versus disqualify for you? What's a qualify for you and what's a disqualify for you?
Situational superiority.
What does that mean?
Jiu-jitsu is an example. And we talked a lot about wrestling and fighting and stuff when we hung out. But um, first time I did jiu-jitsu, I thought that was the gayest thing I'd ever seen. I was like, what? You want me to lay on the ground? What? I'm a taekwondo guy. I do kickboxing. But my instructor, my coach, he's like, lay on the ground. I was like, okay. He lays on top of me. I'm like, I don't like where this is going. And he's like, no, try and move me. Well, what he said was try and get me off. I was like, I really don't like where this is going.
Come on, Jesse, get me off. Get me
You
off.
thought this only happened in Catholic Church. You're wrong.
I'm on top of you. Get me off.
But
Oh,
anyway,
this is completely fucked now.
it
Uh,
was great. But anyway, I tried to move. I couldn't move him, and then he submitted me, and I was like, I have to learn this. Now, did I want to take advice from him in relationships? Not really. Did I want to take advice from him in fashion? Not at all. Did I want to take advice from him in investing? Zero. But jujitsu and business, yes. So there's situational authority. That means that
mm,
someone has an embodied qualification, and the best people are so embodied they don't even know what they're good at because they're just so good at it. They didn't set out to become good at it. Like you have 80% of these fucking coaches out there where they're just like, what can I go convince people I'm good at and set up a landing page and do a webinar and then they can pay me for this thing that I want them to think I'm good at. I'm like, are you fucking
Mm.
kidding me? Dude, I was a bouncer for a while and I'm absolutely the self-anointed bouncer of the personal development industry. And I love watching motherfuckers put themselves out there and they're just like, I'm this thing, da 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 da. And I'm like, what have you done, man? Like, literally, what have you done? And I know that they're attracting the people that are right for them, and there might be some benefit and value, but I'm always looking for what's your foundation? What's your lineage? Where did that
Mm.
come from? And so when situational authority is when somebody is able to consistently demonstrate superiority, that they are superior in this area, and then not let that superiority and authority bleed over into other areas that they haven't demonstrated excellence, or at least a willingness to be raw and keep learning. And that's what's allowed me to stay mostly pretty free of drama. And um, I've had my first couple of videos that started to really blow up. I got like 10, 12 million views on these videos and, getting like 50,000 comments, and half the comments are, this is amazing. This changed my life. This 6-minute video is better than 30 years of therapy. And then another person saying, I was literally on my way to the railroad tracks to go lay down across the tracks when I saw this video. And now I know why I don't have to.
Wow.
Like
When
those
did that?
kind of
When did
comments.
when did those happen?
Those videos started to hit 2014 through 2018.
and what got you like motivated to put content out like that?
Well, the biggest thing was, and then I'll close the loop on the other half of the comments. I After I sold my schools and sold the entire business, and I signed a non-compete with a business partner to prevent myself from going back into the industry. Like I didn't want the easy, known, familiar, comfortable world as much as I love martial arts. I didn't want to do that anymore. And I just knew that I was supposed to do something else. I didn't know what it was. There was no job description that I was aiming for. There was nobody that I had seen as like, that's what I want to do. I just knew that I had this amazing childhood, equal parts feral and dangerous and loving, and just the right amounts of spicy trauma, just so you have good memories growing up. And I had the whole thing, and I'd been teaching my whole life, but I just thought there has to be something bigger that I'm supposed to teach, but I can't do it unless I'm embodying it. So I guess I just need to live an epic life and do the shit that lights me up for no other reason than that I want to, with no permission given, zero fucks given about what people think, but near infinite fucks given about people, as long as they also care about themselves. So I just set out, man. I just set out on adventures, and whether it was traveling or doing crazy shit or doing fun things or doing weird things. As long as it's not harming anybody and as long as I'm not being damaged, I'm down. And as long as it interests me. And out of that came a lot of understanding about, what makes us tick as human beings. And I began to test some of these theories about, where these deficiencies come from and how much is real deficiency and how much is just a perceived deficiency in a story that we make up. And then how much of that story is real and how much of it is, wounding and coping mechanisms. And I just got under the hood of what it means to be human. And out of that came all these tools and practices and games and ways of, helping people to look at themselves differently and fall back in love with themselves and accept themselves 100% exactly as they are, as this fast evolving being who's never going to get it right, because you're never going to finish. You just keep going endlessly. Even when our body stops, we keep going. A lot of people don't believe that, and that's fine. So all that was my motivation to start making these videos. And I was also had just gone through a divorce. So I'm in all this pain. I
Mm.
80% of the sale of the business, I willingly signed away to the divorce. I just want to make sure she was fine. And I was like, I'll figure it out. Meanwhile, I'm like, fuck, I need to make some money, but I didn't know how. I just figured You know, as cliche but true as it is, God will provide if I am a faithful servant. So I'm going to surrender to this signal, do exactly what I feel I'm inspired to do. Doesn't need to make sense. I'm going to have irrational certainty. Found out later is more like transrational. It's beyond logic, that there's a knowing beyond logic and everybody's got access to it.
So, wow, first of all, there's so much there. I'm going to ask you a question because I brought you there and it was, what was the other half of the comments? And I want to come back to this thought that you said there was the
Yeah,
comments
well,
were like, I'm not going to be on the railroad track
yeah,
and
half these
you
comments are
saved my
beautiful.
life.
Yeah, half of them are beautiful, and the other half are the most creatively heinous comments I've ever seen. One dude says, he's like, "What the fuck did I just watch?" And he said, "I'll never get those 6 minutes of my life back." And I just commented, I said, "Well, it's a good thing time's not real then," because it was about how time, it was, it was like how time is an illusion. And
Yeah.
then another, or time is a useful illusion. Another guy comments there, and he was like, "Well, how about all of us just get together, hold this guy down, shave his beard, see if he thinks he's cool then." And then someone else says, "I hope God turns you into a tree that gets chopped down and turned into Bibles."
That's
Like,
amazing.
wow,
Dude, listen,
wow. No,
that
creative.
I forgot that you post the hater comments, and
Oh, the haterade, yeah.
they're so funny when you post them. And honestly, so just so you're clear, like I'm I know that you do some coaching, and I know that you put your thoughts out there. That's about as much as I know about you as a human, outside of us, dropping in on coffee and
Yeah,
having fun together. So when I see you post that stuff, I'm like, what are they getting mad about? Because I read your stuff, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it seems all right. like I'm like, oh yeah, that's an interesting way of thinking about things. Like for me, it's like there's some of it's I could see how it might be polarizing for someone who's really like triggered off of their own deficiencies or something like that. And that's actually the conclusion I came to when I read the haterade stuff with you. Is I'm like, oh, you're just triggering whatever's missing in their life, dude. They're like really fucking worked up about like you're showing up in a way that they can't comprehend themselves showing up.
That's I think that's a big part of it. And going back to the qualified versus unqualified, which is, this is, you sharpen a lot of this in martial arts. When I opened my school, I was 23. I literally had a dude call me like Wild West style, and he was like, "This town ain't big enough for the both of us." And it was like 1970s dojo wars. And I was like, "This is awesome." And I was also highly confident because I had all these like actual fights under my belt, and I knew he was like a martial arts guy, but he wasn't a fighter. Two
Right.
totally different universes. And so I told him, I said, "Dude, well, we do sparring class on Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. Come on by, man. And if you beat me, then I'll be your student. And when I beat you, then I don't want to hear anything else." And I invited him to come to my school. And to his credit, he showed up.
Oh shit, he shows up
He
to
shows
spar.
up. He shows up.
He was very confident. And did he know your lineage at all, or he was just being an asshole?
No, well, he was being defensive. He felt like, oh, there's another school. They're going to take my students, not realizing that there could have,
Scarcity.
well,
Scarcity.
there could have been literally 15 martial arts schools within that 4 mile radius, and we still wouldn't have even come close
Oh, of
to
course not.
the TAM, not even close. But anyway, he shows up, and it was no rules, and we ended up on the ground, and I choked him out, and then I did it again, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know, we were going to the ground." I said, "It's a fight, bro. It's a fight. Like literally, I could bite you if I wanted. You could bite me. Like there's
Did you
nothing."
tell him no rules? We could do whatever
Oh
we
yeah,
want.
from the beginning. Yeah, I'm not gonna trick him
Oh, but he
into.
he thinks you're gonna be doing fucking katas and shit.
Right. Well, because that's all he knew. So when I
Oh,
said because he said, "I'm going to kick your ass," and I'm like, "Okay, well, how?" And he was like, "No rules." I was like, my love language at the time. Let's go. But anyway, I learned to deal with that reality-based feedback at a very early age
mm.
versus the theory that sounds good but has never been tested. That's
How did
why.
he?
What's that?
By the way, how did he react to getting beat twice? What was he humble about it, or was he a dick about it?
Phenomenally well. He was more like, "How did you do that? That was magic."
Oh, because you were doing jujitsu. What year is this?
This is 92, 93.
Oh shit. Yeah,
Yeah, I
dude.
opened my,
That
I officially opened my school in 96, but this is a guy I started teaching this fitness center, and he's the guy that was like, you can't do this. It's like, all right.
wow, that's early days. Yeah, yeah. That
Yeah.
you were totally magical.
Yeah, there was nobody in town. That it was like if you had the only iPhone in 1981, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. It's
I mean,
like what is
if you had the only one, it'd be useless. But
yeah,
if
yeah. But it
you know
would
what I
but if
mean.
you but you had magical connectivity to the realm of the 2010s.
Yeah, that, exactly. That's better. That's better.
What is it? What is it? How are you watching ET on your phone? You're
Right.
like
What? Why, and why is that? Why is that OJ Simpson? What?
yeah. What? Wait, can you how are you seeing in the future? That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is all a long-winded way of me asking. So I said there's three things I feel about you. So number one was like that's the first thing that came across. And number two was I'm going to go to number three before I ask you a question. But number two was you seem really to uphold this. Like if you said Darius, what's your read on Jesse's like number one value or belief around how he shows up in the world, and the word that pops up to for me instantly is sovereignty. Like that's like that you are like that you fully embody like what it means to like show up in a sovereign way, and that's an important thing for me to say because this summer I had an epiphany that I need to be a sovereign human, and in my own way, like probably not in the way that other people might perceive that word, but I have not shown up in I've betrayed my own sovereignty in a lot of parts of my life, and for like vanity type stuff. And I've been doing it for a long enough time where I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like that's never happening again. And so that's number two. And number three, when you posted the tour thing, I'm like, is he fucking with me or is he being real? And so, and then I was like, I think he's being real, but I gotta ask him when I see him next. So, how does number two resonate for you? And then we'll go to number three.
Yeah, well, sovereignty is it's a big deal, man. It's also a very interesting buzzword right now because it's getting, equated with this whole sovereign citizen thing and these people that
Yeah,
learn a few magic words on the internet and then get tased.
yeah.
Hollywood even made a major production with Nick Offerman and Dennis Quaid and like all these, big budget movie called Sovereign about a guy who's teaching all these law clinics, but he's also a psychopath and ends up killing a bunch of cops. And then he and his son get killed by cops. So the whole movie is a warning against trying to use this law stuff. What's wild is the law stuff that or the character's teaching is actually true. It was just a psychopath who was doing it. There are ways there's very simple ways to legally and lawfully unsubscribe from any contract that has been presumed valid. And you can back it up and you get documentation back from all these agencies saying, thank you for unsubscribing. You are no longer a 14th Amendment US citizen. You are a state citizen, natural living man. But all that law conversation aside, sovereignty comes way before governments, way before banks, way before all this other human technology. Another word for it is agency, like
Mm,
that we are at choice. And most people will never reach the understanding of how much agency they have because they're so held back by old memories and stories and this concept of authority, which is a human made concept. Power is real, but authority is totally fabricated. And so it's interesting that you're feeling this right now because I think going into 2026 is going to be a true crucible for those who are close but haven't entertained the idea. Like, what would it be like if I literally did everything that I felt inspired to do and trusted myself to only want to do things that were good for me and good for those I care about and didn't give a fuck what anybody else thought? What would that look like?
mm,
And that's why the relationship with risk is so important because the aversion to risk keeps people stuck. Analyzing risk is valuable, as you know better than just about anybody. But when it comes to like big life decisions. We're not talking about analyzing a deal or deciding on an offer or, should I get the Ferrari or the Lamborghini? Get the Ferrari. But, you know, big life decisions. Like, what am I supposed to do with my life? There's an answer to that that only each person can know, each individual can know. And if it seems like there's two choices, one of them's a false choice, and it's based on fear. And when you get
Mm,
clear about what's next, and it doesn't have to be the grand thing, it might be the grand thing. It might be something that you're going to do for the rest of your life, or it might be something you're going to do for the next 48 hours. But when you get into that yes space, then it sounds hippie as hell. But when you get to that space of like, oh shit, that's it. And then when you know, like when you really know, and then you know that you know, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter if anybody else knows or not. And that's the moment that risk disappears because risk is only the element of danger that is in two or more options.
mm,
If I've got two or three choices and one of them might be more dangerous than the others, now risk is present. But if you only have one choice, it's not a choice. If even the choice of not doing it is not a choice, then there is no choice. You have to do the thing. There's only one thing. It's happening now. It's about to happen. Then risk is irrelevant. But it takes a deep sense of agency, personal sovereignty, in order to have a relationship with that decision energy and to trust where that comes from. And usually, not usually, oftentimes, the way to know what's trustable and what's not is to go mess things up.
mm,
And very few people want to do that because they want the right guaranteed return of love, return of energy, return of money, return of status, return of safety. But it's like, man, I've spent, this is not advice. Nothing I say is advice today. But for 12 years, man, I've been doing things that a lot of people were like, that's risky, that's dangerous. What if it doesn't work out? And I did it, and things worked out so much better than I could have ever imagined. And I'm in a phase now where I'm swinging the pendulum from freedom and doing wild shit over to commitment and building stability and building organizations instead of this free radical out there floating around with passport, cell phone, credit card, building a transformational training organization that's going to empower millions of people from the law to consciousness to family to natural home birth to homeschooling and to decentralized economics, all this crazy stuff, because that's the natural byproduct of listening. And everybody has their version of that. If you would have told me 5 years ago that this would be the vision, I'd be like, "What are you smoking? No way, dude. I'm the nomad." So it can change is the point.
what? So when the taking that, I mean, I think you might have answered the question already, but as you were saying that, where there's two choices, one has risk and one is there's a knowing, right? Or there's fear associated. If you have fear associated with one, what I heard was if I'm fearful about getting it wrong, and there's one that I'm not fearful about, I should like kind of lean into the fear and say like, hey, why am I scared of that, of doing that? Is it because it's
Yeah.
like I'm gonna be vulnerable, and there's different ways of assessing risk, right? Because there's different types of risk. But to your point, there's this splenic knowing that some people I have are you familiar with that term? Right? So I have that, right? Where like my body will be like, yep, like this
Yeah.
is it. Like I made two decisions in my life based off of literally like that. Like where my body was like somatically, my body was like, I went to bed, I'm like dating my girlfriend. I woke up and I'm like, I'm marrying her. And it was like fucking like that. Like it was a wake up and it was like, that's what's happening. And then I was at dinner and I'm like, we're having a kid. I looked at my wife, I'm like, hey, you want to have a kid? And it was the same thing. It was from so there's a knowing, right?
Yeah.
And with stuff like that, I mean, maybe I'm lucky to have that, right? Maybe people get way too much in their head. I have a really a great friend, and she and I've talked a lot about this. Where I mean, her position on this is that 95% of what happens has nothing to do with the 3D world, what we see in front of
Right.
us, right?
Right.
Like we're all energy, and like what our prefrontal cortex is processing is 5% of what's really happening.
Yep.
And and there's some good, interesting data if you look at like how much the prefrontal cortex can, I think, absorb 40 bits of information per second, and your subconscious, your reptilian brain, it's like 10 million pieces of bits of
Yeah.
information per second, right?
Yeah.
So like just like use that as an example, right? Um, but I'm a person right now that's going through a season of my life where I'm like in that messy middle, right? Where even when you were talking about leaving what you know, like I kind of left what I knew, kind of. I'm still like tapped in a little bit, but like I was running big mortgage companies, and I consciously made the decision that I didn't want to do that anymore when I was 41, 6 years ago. I still advise a few of them, but like I'm like, but people that are like, dude, like, are you having a midlife crisis? Why wouldn't you? I just spent 20 plus years doing that shit. And I'm like, yeah, I don't, that's not where I want to spend my life. There's something else out there for me. And so I've been in this like, and I've been doing some cool stuff, but I've been in this messy part for 5, 6 years now where I'm trying to move on to what's next. And there's a part of me that's like, and I've taken a ton of risk and tried a bunch of shit, and like it's been hard, and I've learned a lot, and I still think I'm not there, right? Where I'm like, where I don't have that clarity yet. I think I do. I say that, it's funny enough. Offline, we'll talk about this more because it's a longer conversation that's probably not appropriate for the show. But I'm at a point where I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know what I want to do. And it taps into what you were talking about a second ago, which is the world, dude, the world is in this like chrysalis right now. And I think the world is I think the veil's being lifted, and I think the truth is coming out. And I think that where I feel called is, I think that in two areas. And this might be a nice segue into part two, because I want to talk about your tour right before we get off. I'm being called in two areas. Number one, I think our system of capitalism is fucked up, and it's corrupt, and it has an incentive system that is rewarding the wrong people the wrong way, and the average person is not better off because of it. And I think that there's an element of entrepreneurs out in the world that see that and don't want that to be true. And I think that
Mhm.
they're about to be elevated in a pretty tremendous way. And I want to be a part of that. No, and number two, I think that there's been a war on young men and men in general, and us showing up as our true selves, and how that's not okay. And we have this byproducts of toxic masculinity that are out there like kind of owning the stage. I'm going to name two people right now, Andrew Tate and Nick
Mhm.
Fuentes.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I don't think those guys are role models
Mhm.
for like how I believe strong men need to be in the world. And I feel
Right.
called to like be a part of like that solution.
They can provide characters like that can provide relief from someone who feels suppressed because they're saying things that person's feeling. That person's angry, but they're repressing their anger, and then they see somebody who's angry and seemingly successful, and it helps them to identify with something more empowering than the depression. But that's like one step. And then going from that anger to understanding, and from understanding to wisdom, from wisdom to compassion, and still being a badass motherfucker, which is what I hear you talking about.
Yeah, and that's something where I had something personal that just happened to me recently, where one of those guys was used as like an example of a role model, and I was like, dude, that guy's a fucking Holocaust denier.
Mhm.
like,
Well,
like,
certainty is attractive, you
you
know.
know,
Sure. And when somebody is certain, and they've got conviction and they've got passion, that's attractive to somebody who's feeling uncertain. But when emotions are high, intelligence drops down, and that's why I'm just always very skeptical of anybody who's highly, highly, highly passionate, wants you to be passionate. And if you're not passionate, they'll yell at you or fire you up and get you going. They're bringing your energy up high and then slipping in their worldview, which may or may not be accurate.
yeah, and I was talking to my wife about this, where I said, I felt this for a long time, and I'm like, because there's a kid who I advise, okay, he's 27, and I've seen this with this personal conversation I had where I'll be talking to these guys. A lot of it has to do with their interaction with women, You know, and I've been in a relationship for a long time, so I feel like, you know, there's definitely stuff that I've learned that you only learn by being in a relationship for a long time and having to like solve the problems of staying. By the way, if you're in a relationship for a long time and you're happy in that relationship, there's a lot of shit you got to do to make it work. You know,
Right.
there's a
Right.
lot of stuff, right? Like
Yeah,
you got
you
like,
don't just set it and forget it. I mean, it's like
no,
constant growth and in attunement. You know,
yeah,
you have to be attuned to what's happening. If you check out, especially as a man, if you check out, you get home from work and you just go straight to the couch and pop a beer and watch the game, you're checked out. She's been at home all day, or she's been at work all day, or she's been at work and at home with the kids, all this stuff. And then you get home and you feel like I've done my job. It's like, well, how about just like keep the man clock going for like another 45 minutes and just like go squeeze her and go hug her and go listen to whatever she's got to say and then go fix a light bulb. Even if it does not broken, go break it and then fix it again so she can see you doing man shit. Go chop some wood, go scold the child, and then just hug the shit out of him, and then ask her if she wants a quickie. Hey, you never know. No.
yeah. I call those wham bams.
Yeah,
Um, my wife knows. I'm like wham bam. Um,
it's awesome.
it's so funny. She's like, dude, what the fuck are you sharing on the show? Yeah, for me, I've been like, okay, man, there needs to be a role model for this. Like we're in Austin, right? And I feel like it's the tip of the spear for a lot of this shit, where it's
Oh,
like
big time.
you're indoctrinated around this like higher level conversation. I'm like, the average dude out there is not having these conversations. And I'm like, dude, we need to build something for the average dude, because the average dude's out there and the average dude's about to get disrupted by AI and his life's about to get fucked up. And he can either like turn to the fucking bottle or turn inward and become better. And I'm
Right.
like, and as a society, we don't want the first choice. That's
Well,
really
I think
bad.
I think the first choice, which is going to happen for most people, is they're going to get just merge further and further into this machine system, where there's going to be UBI, and maybe it's even high. Maybe it's even gamified somehow. You're going to move increasingly into game playing as a way of keeping you stimulated, and maybe it's for ad dollars. Maybe there's some social good tied into it. Maybe there's something like if you can beat Angry Birds 17.0, it'll remove so much carbon from the atmosphere, and then your social credit score goes up. All that shit's coming. Like it's already happening. And I think that's going to be the direction the majority of people take. But that leaves an opening, and that's only going to last for a short period of time. There's an opening for real, for men and women who are aggressively analog, who are committed to the natural world, who can see reality for what it is. And I fully respect the choice of someone to ignore reality and live in fantasy, whether that fantasy is that humans are bad for the planet. That's a big fantasy right now. That we're in a simulation. That's a fantasy. That there's 37 genders, or 37 sexes. That's a total fantasy. But I support their choice to have that fantasy. I'm just not going to join them in the fantasy, but I'll fight pretty violently to make sure they have the right to say it.
Mm.
But what you're talking about is embodiment and having these real conversations, like as we've talked about in our conversations many times, like do no harm and take no shit. And for those that see themselves as, I just want to be very peaceful and loving, and there's a lot of that in Austin, and they're these spirit bros, and they just like smell like patchouli, and they're just like, hey brother, hey, like that. And it's like cool. And I don't think you'd have my back in a street fight.
No, no, no. You would and it's funny we were talking about violence.
Hmm.
And I wrote this thing. I'll share it with you when we get offline and we talk about it on the next episode. But I wrote this thing. I'm gonna read you the first line of it, and then I want to talk about your tour, and then we'll get off here. But I wrote this the other day because I was so inspired about like what I'm talking about, and
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't good. I'm feeling like when people I love say shit that is, I can see that it's coming from the wrong source. And I said to this person, I said, dude, you need to be way more thoughtful about the algorithm controlling you. And they didn't like when I said that. I'm not being controlled. I said I would question that. And so I wrote this thing. I wrote how to be a strong man. And I'm at number 42 right now.
Wow.
But number one is how to be a strong man. Number one, make people feel safe around you. And I told this person that. I said, your job is to make the people around you feel safe.
Yep.
And
Dude,
I mean,
that suits you, man.
it's so I
I,
said
I,
that. I thought of you, by the way, when I wrote that, because we had a conversation about this. And the only way you can make people feel safe around you is you need to be able to be violent when you need to be.
yes. And
You
there,
know?
that's the dichotomy. It's like I think in general, people feel safe around you unless they are an unsafe person,
Yeah.
in which case they will feel more unsafe around you. And that's the dichotomy.
As you said that, I was picturing what I do when people are unsafe around me, and I pictured my kids watching me do it.
Yeah.
And it's one of these things where anytime it happened
Yes.
we were in New York City last week. It happened twice where there was God bless these people. They're out of their fucking minds. They're probably mentally ill, and they're coming at my family. And I I did one of these like step aside, grab my
Yep.
family, put them behind me,
Yep.
and I did a hey, the fuck. Like, and one of the dudes was big. He was probably 6'5", 320, 330. He was huge. And I swear to God, Jesse, I was like, you can feel it right now. I was like, I'm going to fuck this guy up. And it was like,
Yep.
there's a split second thing. It wasn't like, I didn't have
Yep.
time to think. It was a visceral
Right.
reaction for
No,
me.
just it's an instinct. And that is, I know we got to wrap here in a second, but that is the dichotomy. If somebody that you are connected to, a member of your family, a friend, or just somebody in general that is like a, decent human being, should feel safe around you, but not necessarily settled. Because
Mm,
when a man has that expansive energy, let's just call it, when he's going somewhere, when he's building something, he creates a wake behind him that is attractive. And so people tend to feel safe, but also galvanized. Like it's like, shit, like let's do something. There's that action energy. If somebody is unsafe to your people, whoever your people are, that person should end up feeling unsafe themselves in the presence of a good man. And I got my beard trimmed yesterday because I've had a date last night, and I
nice.
was just chatting with the hairdresser, well, the beard dresser apparently, about the whole thing, and she was very cool. She was like, "Oh, what are you guys going to do?" And I said, "Well, I got some light plans, nothing too crazy. It's first time, we'll see." And she said, "Well, how's it going?" I said, "Well, we've literally only texted." But she said, "Oh, are you picking her up, or what are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, we literally just met like a week ago, and we met very randomly, just happened to be same place, same time, hit it off." And I said, "Let me make some plans." So I texted her and I said, "I can pick you up, I can get you an Uber, or I can meet you there. Tell me which would feel better for you."
Mm.
And the hairstylist just smiled, and she just laughed and she said, "Women would definitely choose you over the bear." Remember that stupid meme? I mean, I think it's stupid, but it was
No,
like,
no, no. What's the bear? I don't know
oh,
what this
this
is.
whole thing months ago. It was like all these women are saying, like, "I choose the bear." If you meet a bear in the woods, which would you rather meet in the woods, a bear or a man? And all these women are saying, "I'd rather meet the bear," because
Oh,
they
come on.
think men are dangerous. No doubt some men are, but give me a break, man.
Sure, sure. That's crazy. Yeah, I would choose the bear too. They would definitely choose you over the bear. Dude, I have so many thoughts running through my mind right
I
now.
know we got a lot more to get
Um,
into, but this has been a
yeah,
good part one.
Yeah, we'll do this as a part one. So, guys, we'll come back to this. We're gonna leave off. Let's give them a little teaser. So, the tour is when and where is it starting and what is it? And then we're gonna come back to the tour when we come back.
Right now, we're planning for February through August 2026. We're looking at 44 cities in the United States. This is Time Piercer Tour, Jesse Elder Live. This is action philosophy. It is very specifically unscripted. There is nothing planned. It's literally just people showing up, all of us jamming, riffing. There's going to be guests coming along. We're doing a reality show attached to it, the True Man Show.tv. Except it's not a guy trapped in the movie who didn't know it. It's a guy outside the movie going, "Hey, fool, wake up. You're lovely. Let's go."
Nice. I love that. We'll put that in the show notes. Dude, yeah, this is like...
As always,
Yeah,
this is one of our regular conversations. So
I know.
this is the PG-13 version of our conversations.
It's completely. I love it, man. Dude, I appreciate you. And
likewise, Darius. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait for us to do part 2 of this. We'll get it scheduled when we get off the air. All right, man.
Sounds good, brother. Much love. Later.
You guys, peace out, everybody. We love you. Until next time, it's part 2. Laters.
Bye.
You are listening to The Greatness Machine, and that's a wrap for today. Listen, if you love what you heard, subscribe to the show on whatever podcast platform that you're tuning in on so that you don't miss any of our future episodes. We have tons of great people coming on, and we're stoked to have you here to enjoy it with us. Leave us a review. Tell us what you love most about this particular episode. We love getting the reviews. We love to see what you guys love most. And if this particular episode, made you think of someone who's leveling up in their business and in their life, print screen, share it with them. Leaders are the best givers. And after all, we're all here to support and grow with each other. And in case you want to see some of the fun behind the scenes shots or some of the things that we're doing, I'm actually writing about this in my weekly newsletter. Go to www.therealdarius.com and subscribe to my newsletter. We're talking about fun things like business and life and mindfulness and cryptocurrencies and gosh, I don't even know, everything and anything, but it's tons of fun stuff I write about. I try to get it out on a weekly basis. You can subscribe at www.therealdarius.com. And with that said, look, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. I love you. Peace. We're out of here. See you guys on the next one.
She's my lover.